Tonight, as the city outside fades into a shimmer of distant lights, I want to share a secret with you. One that the universe has hidden deep within the cracks of the human soul. Here is the brutal truth. Fate is never a straight, silk-lined road. It is a labyrinth of dead ends, a series of sudden, gut-wrenching slaps in the face. But, my friend, have you ever stopped to wonder? Why do the worst cards in the deck always seem to find their way into the hands of the most formidable players? Welcome to the sanctuary of Amor Fati, the place where we don't just learn to accept our destiny, but to love it as deeply as we love our very own breath. Close your eyes. Let your mind carry you to the heart of Rio de Janeiro during Carnival. The air is thick with the scent of perfume, sweat, and raw, visceral pride. Meet Isabella. She is the most radiant samba dancer on that stage, a woman who spent 365 grueling days sharpening every step, every flick of the wrist for one single moment under the blinding lights of the Sambadrome. But just 24 hours before the drums were set to roar, a cold, sharp snap echoed through the rehearsal hall. Fate had executed a cruel, calculated twist, a devastating ligament tear. Her dream didn't just slip away, it shattered right beneath her feet. In the suffocating shadows of that hospital room, as the distant sirens of Rio wailed in the night, Isabella faced two choices. 1. Let bitterness devour her soul, crying out "Why me? Why is the universe so relentlessly unfair?" Or 2. Practice the ancient alchemy of the Stoics, and turn that pain into fuel. Isabella chose the fire. She didn't look away from her reality. She looked directly at her bandaged leg and whispered, "Thank you for stopping me." During 6 months of recovery, Isabella stopped dancing with her feet and started dancing with her intellect. She dove into the mathematics of music. She studied the architecture of choreography, things she had once been too busy to ever truly feel. When she returned to the festival the following year, Isabella wasn't just a dancer anymore. She had become a master choreographer, a soul with a depth that mere technical steps could never reach. That scar on her knee? It wasn't a mark of shame. It was a medal of a brand new vision. This is the hauntingly beautiful mystery of Amor Fati. Stoicism is not a sedative to numb your pain. It is an alchemical furnace. It teaches us that every betrayal, every crushing failure, every time you are slammed face first into the dirt, these are not obstacles standing in the way of your path. They are the path. Look at your life, right here, right now. Is there a scar that is still bleeding? Is there a failure that keeps you awake in the dead of night? Do not try to erase them. In the world of the soul warrior, a scar is simply the signature of your growth. The universe never makes a mistake. If it sends a storm your way, it is because it knows your roots are deep enough to hold. And after the rain clears, you will be the only one left who knows how to dance in the storm. Do not just endure your fate. Embrace it. Kiss the blade of hardship because it is the greatest teacher you will ever have, forging you from a raw block of iron into a razor-sharp sword. Tonight, whisper to yourself, "No matter what happens, I love this path. For I am Invictus, the one who can never be conquered." Did you know that right there, in the center of your chest, you possess a kingdom that is absolutely invulnerable? A place where no army can breach, no insult can penetrate, and no adversity can set foot, unless you grant it permission. Welcome to the ultimate power of humanity, the sacred silence between stimulus and response. Imagine yourself swallowed by the concrete jungle of Sao Paulo on a suffocating Friday afternoon. Waves of heat rise from the asphalt, the roar of sirens tears through the air, and the traffic, like a massive, growling beast, inches along Paulista Avenue. You are exhausted after a long day, desperate just to get home. Suddenly, a sleek car swerves through a narrow gap, nearly crushing the front of your vehicle. The driver rolls down his window, spits out a venomous insult aimed directly at your dignity, and then floors the gas, disappearing into the distance. In that heartbeat, a red-hot tsunami of primal instinct surges within you. Your heart thumps wildly, blood rushes to your face, and your hands grip the steering wheel so hard you feel like you could shatter it. Your instinct screams at you to chase him, to retaliate, to hurl back even deadlier words just to soothe your wounded ego. That is the moment the stimulus has completed its mission. But stop. Right here, in the millionth of a second before you open your mouth or slam on the gas, there exists a mysterious silence. The Stoic masters called this the fortress of freedom. In that single second, you cease to be a creature of conditioned reflex. You become the sovereign judge of your own soul. You take a deep breath, feeling the cool air fill your lungs, and engage in a dialogue of sheer power. He just threw a poisoned arrow at me. Am I going to pick it up and stab it into my own heart? Do the words of a stranger have the power to define who I am? No. Am I going to surrender the precious peace of this afternoon to a man whose name I don't even know? Absolutely not. And then a miracle happens. You smile. A smile of deep compassion and quiet defiance. You turn up the volume on your favorite bossa nova track, letting the gentle melody fill the cabin. That man is gone, carrying his own anger and chaos with him, but you remain, still reigning over your kingdom of stillness. This is the moment you win. Real strength doesn't lie in clenched fists or screaming matches. Strength is the ability to keep the surface of your mind ripple free, even when the world is throwing stones at you. When you master that silence, you become invincible. The world can take your money, your reputation, even your physical freedom, but it is forever powerless against your right to choose your own attitude. Tonight, before you drift off to sleep, ask yourself, how many times today did you accidentally hand over the keys of your kingdom to someone else? Remember, your peace is a treasure. Don't let a cheap stimulus buy it away from you. You are the master of your response, the architect of your emotions, and the only king within the spiritual fortress of your mind. Guard that silence, for that is where true freedom begins. Do you know what is truly siphoning the life out of you every single day? It's not the mountain of work on your desk, and it's not the bills waiting to be paid. No, it is a cruel illusion we have built for ourselves, the belief that we can bend this world to our will. We exhaust ourselves trying to stop the tsunamis of life with our bare hands, while the only fortress that actually needs protecting, our own mind, is left abandoned, left to be overrun by the toxic winds of anxiety. Welcome to the lesson of true liberation, mastering the mental fortress. The Stoic masters left behind an ancient but formidable code. Suffering is not a guest that the world sends to your door. It is an entity that we ourselves cultivate through our opinions. Events, in their essence, are neutral. A sudden downpour is neither bad nor good. It only becomes terrible when you judge it for ruining your new shoes. The world is a chaotic mess of unpredictable variables, and if you place your happiness in the hands of those variables, in the inflation rate, the weather, or the wandering thoughts of an ex, you are voluntarily tightening a heavy chain around your own neck. Look at Maria, a single mother living in the impoverished outskirts of Brazil. Every morning, Maria wakes up to face a monster called the economy. Milk prices are skyrocketing, the real is losing its value, and her child's future feels like a fragile piece of paper caught in a storm. If Maria lets her mind wander into the maze of questions like, why isn't the government acting? What will happen if I lose my job? She will crumble before she even finishes her morning coffee. But Maria has found the key to locking the gates of her fortress. She looks at her stove and tells herself, I cannot adjust the National Economic Index, but I have the power to adjust this flame to cook the warmest dinner possible for my child. I cannot change the market prices, but I can dominate the dedication I bring to my work today. In the exact moment Maria narrows her focus from the dark sky down to her own working hands, a strange, beautiful stillness emerges. Anxiety, that demon that feeds exclusively on the present, suddenly vanishes because it finds no place to stand in a world of practical action. Maria has stopped being a slave to what she cannot change, and has become the queen of her own thoughts. You see, mastering your thoughts is not about becoming emotionless. It is about becoming wise enough to know the boundaries of your own power. The past is a grave already covered in grass, and the future is a ghost that has not yet taken shape. Do not waste your divine power trying to repair a ghost or dig up a grave. Tonight, I want you to perform a purge within your mind. List the burdens you've been carrying, the opinions of your colleagues, the volatility of society, the mistakes of years gone by, and strike them out with a vengeance. Declare to yourself, the world may be in chaos, but my fortress shall be at peace. When you stop demanding that the world follow your script, you will discover a hauntingly beautiful truth. The world becomes strangely gentle when it encounters a soul that no longer fears what it cannot control. Sleep deeply, master of the fortress, for tomorrow your power lies right here in your hands, not out there. Listen to the roar echoing from the vast wilderness within your own mind. It is the sound of millions of cubic meters of water crashing down at Iguazu Falls, nature's most majestic and ruthless icon here in the heart of Brazil. Have you ever wondered what would happen to someone who fell into those falls and tried to swim upstream against that plummeting visceral fury? They wouldn't just fail, they would be committing a slow, agonizing suicide of the spirit. Welcome to the threshold of true liberation, the sacred mystery of radical acceptance. Most of us are living exactly like that drowning soul at the foot of Iguazu. We spend our youth, our sleepless nights, and the very blood of our hearts fighting against the truth. We scream into the void, demanding that the past change its mind, pleading for harsh realities to simply vanish. But there is an immutable law of the universe that Stoic masters have guarded for millennia. The world does not revolve around your desires. Resistance is nothing more than a poison you brew for yourself and then choose to drink. Let me tell you about Lucas. After 5 years of building a sanctuary of love, the woman he adored walked out of his life on a rainy afternoon in Curitiba. For the 2 years that followed, Lucas didn't live. He existed as a phantom in his own home. He spent thousands of hours torturing his soul with one single question, why? Where did I go wrong? How do I get her back? Every why was a desperate stroke against the waterfall, leaving him depleted and sinking deeper into a dark ocean of depression. Lucas didn't realize he was wrestling with a ghost. Until one night, when the darkness was suffocating and the pain hit its absolute peak, he looked at the empty chair across from him and whispered the words that would finally set him free. She is gone. It is an irreversible truth, like the water that has already flowed under the bridge. In that exact moment, a hauntingly beautiful serenity filled the room. The prison door had never been locked. Lucas had simply been nailing himself to the wall of his own past. You see, acceptance is not surrender. It is not cowardice. On the contrary, acceptance is the most courageous act of a wise warrior. It is the sovereign clarity that realizes another person's heart is outside of your control, and that trying to grip sand only makes it slip through your fingers faster. When you stop swimming against the current, you don't sink. You float. You take that massive reservoir of energy, the energy you used to spend on grieving and blaming, and you use it to steer your own ship toward a new horizon. You save that strength for the battles you can win. The battle for self-mastery, the battle to build a more radiant life from the wreckage of the old one. Tonight, I want you to look directly at the truth that hurts you the most. Stop asking why. Start saying, it is as it is. Let the waterfall of reality wash away your illusions of control. Peace does not come from everything going your way. It comes from smiling in agreement with whatever fate brings to your door. Empty your hands so you can be free. Because only when your hands are empty can you catch the much greater gifts that the future is preparing for you. Sleep well, soul that has finally stopped resisting, for the real stillness has begun. Stop. Just for a moment. Look at your hands. What do you really hold? Is it the digits in your bank account? The hollow titles on a business card? Or perhaps that youthfulness that time is silently siphoning away every single day? There is a cold, crushing truth the glittering world hides from you. All of it is on loan. The universe lent it to you for a heartbeat, and it has the right to demand it back at any second, without warning and without negotiation. Welcome to the only treasure that never devalues. The only asset that truly belongs to you, virtue, the integrity of your soul. Deep within the concrete canyons of Sao Paulo, where neon lights mask the stars, let me tell you about Ricardo. He was a diligent worker, a perfect gear in a massive financial machine. One night after everyone had left, Ricardo stumbled upon a black file. He realized with horror that his respected boss was orchestrating a massive cross-border fraud, draining millions of reais from the pension funds of the poor. Ricardo stood at the edge of a moral abyss. His boss didn't threaten him. Instead, he smiled and laid an envelope on the desk, heavy with cash and the promise of an executive chair that had been sitting empty. Silence is golden, Ricardo. Think of your future. An ordinary man would have taken the leather chair and the expensive dinners. But a Stoic warrior knows a secret. There is a poverty more terrifying than having no money, the poverty of character. Ricardo knew that if he took that envelope, he might buy the most expensive bed in the world, but he would lose the ability to ever have a good night's sleep. Ricardo spoke up. He lost his job the next morning. He was shunned by his colleagues and blacklisted from the industry. On the surface, he was a failure, a man with nothing. But look into his eyes when night falls. Ricardo returns to a tiny apartment, eats a simple meal and lies down. While his boss swallows sedatives to outrun the ghosts of his guilt, Ricardo drifts into sleep in absolute stillness. Why? Because he understood an ancient secret. Losing a job is just losing an external tool. But losing your integrity, that is losing your very self. He chose to defend his inner fortress, the place that no promotion or bonus can ever bribe. Integrity isn't some stiff moral slogan. It is the ultimate luxury. It is the freedom of not having to avoid your own gaze in the mirror every morning. In a world where souls are sold for temporary trifles, your integrity is a lighthouse in a midnight sea. Money can evaporate in a crisis. Fame can crumble with a single rumor. Health can wither with a single breath. But integrity, courage, and wisdom? They are diamonds forged under pressure. They are the only things you can proudly carry with you when you pass through the gates of death. Tonight, ask yourself, asterisk, if the world stripped away everything I own, who is the me that remains? Asterisk, do not be afraid if the answer is silence. Start building your treasure today in the smallest of choices. Choose truth when lies are profitable. Choose kindness when cruelty is cheered. Remember, a clean soul is the softest pillow even a king could crave. Sleep well, guardian of the treasure, for your true wealth is shining right now. Right there, deep within your chest. Do you hear that rhythm thumping against your ribs? That isn't just the sound of life continuing, it is the footstep of a silent thief. That thief is named time. We cling to a grand and ruthless illusion, the belief that we have 1,000 years to squander, as if the present moment were a bottomless spring that will never run dry. But the haunting truth is this: every breath you just exhaled is a fragment of your life that has vanished into the void forever. You will never, ever get a single second of it back. Welcome to the final lesson and the most sacred of them all, the gift of the present. Don't live like a ghost in your own life. Look closely at how we operate. We spend half our lives as prisoners in the grave of the past, chewing on the bitter, hollow remains of what if. The other half we spend as hostages to the ghosts of the future, paralyzed by catastrophes that haven't even happened. The result? We become wanderers between two lands that do not exist, leaving the only reality, this very moment, to wither away in the cold. Come with me to the sun-drenched sands of Copacabana in Rio de Janeiro. Amidst the fine white dunes, watch the children playing soccer. They don't have designer shoes. They don't have complex strategies. They have an old ball and the hot sand beneath their feet. Gaze into their eyes and you will see a power that even billionaires crave: total presence. Those children aren't carrying the weight of yesterday's loss, nor are their minds choked by tomorrow's bills or economic chaos. To them, the entire universe has shrunk down to the size of that ball and the raw joy of the past they are making right now. They aren't rehearsing for life, they are living. Stoicism doesn't ask you to be as naive as a child. It demands that you possess that same presence with the wisdom of a master. Imagine holding a loved one in your arms while your mind is fretting over a Monday morning meeting. That isn't love, that is an insult to love. When you work, let your soul merge with every word and every number. When you eat, savor every flavor as if it were your final feast. Stop turning your life into a series of rehearsals for fears that may never arrive. Anxiety is actually a form of arrogance. It is a futile attempt to control a future that belongs to fate. The Stoic knows that the only thing we truly own is the right now. Tonight, before the darkness fully takes hold, I want you to perform a courageous act. Set yourself free. Close the door on the past, it's done with you. Shut the lens of the future, it doesn't belong to you yet. Just be here, in this room, feeling the cool sheets against your skin, listening to the steady beat of your own heart. Whisper to your soul, asterisk, I am here. I am alive. And this moment is enough. Asterisk, do not wait until you are staring death in the face to realize the value of life. Live right now, like an Invictus warrior who treasures every single second of the air he breathes. Sleep well, traveler of time. Let the present be the cradle that rocks you into the deepest peace. Because tomorrow, when the Rio sun rises again, you will wake up with a heart that no longer knows regret, ready to receive the greatest gift of all, a new day to truly exist. The night has fully descended. The world outside is now nothing more than the meaningless whispers of wind and sand. This is the most sacred moment of your day, the instant when the velvet curtain of darkness falls, severing you from the noise, the roles you play, and the crushing pressures of this earthly life. Take a deep breath. Feel that cool air trailing down your spine. Prepare for the final journey of today, the journey back to yourself. There is a hauntingly beautiful truth that very few ever truly grasp. You have never been the things that happened to you. You are not the failed project from this morning. You are not your boss's criticism, nor are you the ache of a broken heart. Those are merely guests visiting the home of your soul. They arrive, they bring their storms, and then they depart. But you are the house itself, steadfast, silent, and unchanging. Imagine yourself as a towering lighthouse on the storm-lashed coast of Brazil. The waves may crash violently against your base, the wind may howl around your peak, but the steel core within that tower? It does not tremble. It does not flinch. You are the supreme observer. From your seat of wisdom, you look down at the swirling emotions, the anxieties, and the frantic calculations of the mind as if you were watching a rushing river from a high bridge. You see them but you do not flow with them. You recognize them but you refuse to let them define your name. Tonight, perform one final spiritual cleansing. Let the teachings of Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, or Epictetus soak into your very cells, like a torrential summer rain drenching the parched, cracked earth of the Serteo. Let that rain wash away the grit of envy, the grime of fear, and the harsh, jagged judgments you have inflicted upon yourself over the last 16 hours. When the storm passes, all that remains is a pure essence, a soul scrubbed clean, ready for a total rebirth tomorrow morning. This world does not require you to be perfect to be worthy of love. It only asks that you be brave enough to face it with the profound stillness of a stoic heart. A true warrior is not known just by the strength of the sword in their hand, but by the wisdom to lay that sword down and find peace when the darkness closes in. You have fought enough. You have strived enough. For now, the only kingdom you need to rule is the silence within your own chest. Relax every muscle. Let the gravity of the earth gently support your body. Do not carry a single piece of today's luggage into your sleep. Sleep is simply a temporary death, a preparation for a more radiant life. Let your soul fly free in the realm of dreams, a place where there are no bills, no deadlines, no expectations. Only the absolute freedom of one who has mastered their own mind. Sleep well, my Invictus warriors. Rest deep, for the world is waiting for the awakening of a soul that can never be conquered. Silence is power, and tonight that power belongs to you.